Today on Quality Digest Live, we're going to bring you the third and final episode from our show here at IMTS 2018 here at the McCormick Center in Chicago.
That's right. We're going to be considering the importance of shows like IMTS and the customer journey, talking about how leaders motivate their employees, and showing you a great tech corner from our hosts here at Olympus America. That and more when we come back.
See you then.
Today's episode of Quality Digest Live is sponsored by Olympus Lex OLS 5000 microscopes, the next generation of surface metrology.
Welcome back to Quality Digest Live for September 13th, 2018. QDL is your weekly look at who and what is making the news in the world of quality. I'm Director Sharm, Editor-in-Chief of Quality Digest.
And I'm Quality Digest Publisher, Mike Richmond. Well, we're coming to you today from the booth of Olympus America, and this again, as Dirk mentioned at the beginning of the show, is our third and final episode from IMTS 2018. Later in the show, Dirk's going to be sharing a really interesting tech corner with you on the Lex OLS 5000 3D laser confocal microscope, yes?
That's right. Guangnong Meng is going to tell us all about it.
Tell us all about that, so stay tuned for that tech corner. But first, we're going to have a little word about marketing and the customer journey here from IMTS.
Okay.
So, Dirk, let me ask you a question about IMTS and trade shows in general. Why do you think an attendee, a user, somebody looking for a solution, comes to a show like IMTS?
Oh, well, they get a free day off work.
Somebody's to get an expense account.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's one really good reason.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times it's hands-on. I mean, to be honest, and we've talked about this in the past, there's a lot now that you do at a show that can be done virtually, that can be done online. I mean, but the one thing you really miss about doing things online or virtually is the hands-on on equipment. So I think very often people come to the show because they want to see these things in operation in front of them. They literally want to touch them, to pick them up, I look around the Olympus booth here, you really want to pick something up and hold it in your hand. You can see the specs online, you can see pictures of it online, but I think they're missing part of the experience, and they want that before they spend a lot of money on equipment.
And I think that's exactly right. I think that's a key reason, one key reason why people come to the show. But I think there is another reason, and there's maybe a couple of other reasons. Okay. But one of them is, are you ready?
I'm ready.
To hear stories. Tell me a story.
Oh, like case study. Okay.
Somewhat, and yeah, case study is part of that. But I'm talking about a story, and I mean a story, a narrative, an emotional response. I had a woman come by our booth. You mentioned this the other day on the show. You had a person come by the booth.
We had a lot of people come by the booth.
But you had a guy come by the booth that you had a conversation with about consulting and what he does.
Sure.
I had a woman come by the booth the other day, and on her badge it said her position was Chief Storyteller. That was her job. Her job was Chief Storyteller for her company, right? And if you think about that, you think about stories, what does that conjure? It conjures this emotional connection with something.
Okay.
So I would argue that many people that are here, and many of the people that are here in booths, vendors that are trying to sell, need to tell stories. They need to understand that a customer is a person who's on a journey. They're having an experience. In this case, it's a technical experience. It's a business experience with a product or a service, and they need to feel a connection to it. They need to understand why it exists in their life. And again, we talked the other day, about an article from Jesse Lynn Stoner about why you're in business, what you're in business for.
Right.
And it's about going that level up. It's not just you're providing, in this case, a microscope. What's the need you're addressing within that person's organization? What's the emotional reason why they need that, or the business case for it? That's a story, that's a narrative. And I would argue that people are coming here, to touch this stuff, see the people, understand what it is, but also to feel an emotional connection with the companies that are here. Okay. That's what we're trying to do at Quality Digest as well, is transition into more of a narrative storytelling media company that brings solutions to our people that read us.
So when she says that she's a storyteller, what does she mean by that?
What she means is that she takes, in this case, she was a vendor, and she's talking to people who are here as well. She's talking to attendees. So what she means by that is she tries to understand what that customer's journey is, and she communicates that in the form of what, in this case she was in an energy company, what their company does, how they would help solve a problem that that customer is having. In a way, and it's a story. Again, it's a narrative. It's not just, well, here's what we do.
Right.
You know, we sell
Here's
lighting.
our products, here's the specs.
We sell lighting, and
Okay,
here's the specs.
okay.
But it's about, okay, what's the issues that you're having? Tell me about what's going on in your facility right now. Tell me about the problems that you're having. Tell us about how we can maybe save you money, make your process a little more efficient. Let me tell you about what we do, what our story is, and how it connects with what your story is as well.
Okay.
That's a really powerful way of looking at, to use a less powerful term, selling or marketing. I mean, yeah, we're all here, we're all selling, we're all marketing stuff. But I mean, like I say, we're telling stories, and when you look at it from that perspective, you bring it up a level, you have a different experience, you have different interactions with people that are here. That's what I got out of being here for now 4 days, is looking at IMTS, talking to people that are here, telling stories, listening to a lot of stories. It's a very different way, and that has changed, by the way.
Okay.
That is not what my experience was at IMTS, say, 8 or 10 or 12 years ago. I find now that people now understand that better.
Right.
I think the people that are here in the booths and the people that are walking around.
Well, I know you're going to touch on this, but this actually, oddly enough, ties into Jack Dunnigan's.
Oh, Jack Dunnigan's story.
In a sense, what you're saying, we'll talk about it. As you were talking, I'm going, wow, that sounds a lot like Jack's story.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. We did, and that's a good segue. Thank you, Dirk. Yeah. We didn't plan that, but that was a good segue. We did publish an article from Jack Dunnigan earlier this week called the Gold Rush Syndrome, How Effective Leaders Capitalize on a Dream. Right. And the motif he used there was the California Gold Rush of 150 or whatever years ago, 170 years ago, where all these people came out. And, you know, we've heard it all before that, you know, it wasn't the miners who got rich. Very few miners made any money out of it.
It was all the vendors.
Levi Strauss, right?
Levi Strauss,
I mean, all the people that sold picks and shovels and axes and food, clothes,
and all those guys.
Tents and all
the
that
supply
kind of
chain,
stuff.
they made the money.
They made the money. So what he's saying is that those people, those vendors had the insight and the wisdom to look at it and say, well, I've got to take the motivation of others and work with that and make that work for me. In other words, it's kind of an alchemy of motivation, of intrinsic motivation. Like they were intrinsically motivated to do what? The miners, to make all this money, right? Get all this gold out of the hills. But they had more reasons for it than just money. It was what it represented to them. Security or status, prestige, or whatever it was. But the vendors, the people that sold them that stuff, took advantage of that, you know, and utilized that in their own way to make their own fortune. So his jumping off point was this idea that for your organizations, you want to channel that motivation of your workers, your coworkers, and find a way to make that work for your organization. That's what I got out of that story.
Well, it was odd because the story actually started off with him telling a family story about...
No, he started off with the Gold Rush, then he told the family story.
Then he told the family story. So the family story was just, a couple different families getting together, the kids are playing a board game, and yeah, board games get competitive and they're shouting and stuff, but there's always still a lot of fun, right? And then one of the adults thought it'd be more fun if we made put a monetary thing to it. So one of the adults put a $10 bill or something in the chandelier and said, okay, whoever wins the game wins this $10. And he said the whole nature of the game changed. Then it wasn't fun anymore because now it was like, rather than playing and having just this competitiveness, now it's like, oh no, we're going to get this extrinsic reward if we win. And Dunnigan's point was like sometimes what you need to do is forget about that external reward that you both want to grab and instead are looking for what about this event, the Gold Rush maybe, or playing a board game, makes it fun. What is about it that we're both drawn to? So with a game, it might be just the game. It's fun. We're going to have fun with it, and that is what makes us come together and work to enjoy, let's say, the game. And I think you can apply that to a broader sense too. Where does my value or interest as a vendor overlap with what you want to do as somebody that we're going to sell to, other than just me make money from you? Right,
and that's right. I mean, it's a complex idea. This idea that you're going to try to weave through what people want to do and should be doing for themselves, and how do you motivate them to understand what that is intrinsically. I mean, I can say it's complicated because it's an extrinsic way to achieve intrinsic motivation, right? Because I mean, he's talking about the perspective of being a leader and motivating your team or your employees, whatever it may be. So yes, money is one way. It really isn't the most effective way. You want to try to find what it is within that job that intrinsically motivates those people to do their best work.
And I just thought of a good example. We were talking. I was talking to a salesperson, a young guy, one of the booths, one of our customers, and he said what gets him excited is he knows that their product is helping manufacturing.
Yeah.
The product they make helps manufacturing. And he says, I get excited when I see people using our product to make their job easier so that they can make parts and make money and contribute to the American economy. He says he says, I'm really excited that our product is part of that.
Yeah.
Well, he's still selling it. He still wants to sell those parts. It's still making him money, but now he's tied in with the vision of that company as well. Now they've got this thing in common other than just, I got something to sell you.
Right.
It's like, I'm invested in what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, IMTS, again, if you've never been to IMTS, this is the kind of thing that you're going to get out of the show. You're going to have these interactions where you're going to learn a lot, not just about products and services, but about stories and narratives and motivation, all these kind of things.
Right.
It's a business show. It's a lot of good stuff happening here. So it's
Well, you may have noticed that we are. That's right. Well, you may have noticed that we are standing here in a booth of one of our good vendors. Earlier today, I had the chance to chat with Guangdong Meng. He's the product manager for the industrial microscopy for the Scientific Solutions Group of Olympus America. And Guangdong showed me the Olympus Lex OLS 5000 3D laser confocal microscope. Fantastic piece of equipment, really interesting. And we're going to show it to you right now, so let's take a look. Okay, Guangdong, so what are we going to look at today?
So today we're looking at our most advanced laser confocal microscope from Olympus.
Okay.
So this can give you down to the single nanometer in a matter of the minute. So
Really? Okay. And this is a 3D measuring system?
3D measurement,
Okay.
and people used to do this kind of measurement on other more advanced equipment, for example, the AFM, SEM, but those systems, one thing is more complicated, other things like take a long time.
The sample preparation,
The sample
SEM,
preparation
AFM,
and the data acquisition.
Okay.
For example, AFM, you just have to wait that scan to be finished. Sometimes take like more than days, whatever. But this one can get a larger field of view on 3D with very accurate data down to as small as single nanometer level.
Okay.
So when you're talking about the quality checking, assurance, this is a very practical tool.
Sure.
You know, I'm not saying that can be outperforms the other tools, but if you look overall productivity, time saving, and efficiency, and this would be a best choice,
Okay.
to do this. And nowadays, people need to look at the surface more and more carefully because of all the manufacturing, technology evolving a lot in the last 10 years.
Sure.
So people always want getting a better picture on their parts, make sure it meets the standard.
So show us, run us through it. Show us some of the things it can do.
Sure. So we just start up here. So what we are gonna do is we're putting a semiconductor chip there. Right now, here is like overview of the chip at the lower magnification.
Okay.
I change the 50x. Okay. Then I set up some kind of the area. You can say this can automatically go to that area and find the best focus. But what it make easy, it's gonna go through this 18 points, getting the data automatically there. So this part actually is also critical in terms of a quality check. So you can click the system on one button, then you do something else like more valuable for you. For example, have coffee or think about more.
Right.
And after you're done with other stuff, all the data is already here, so you can review the data. Decide which part you need to reject, and even more if you hook the system to your production line there. If you have some kind of smart communication build on the product, just to kick off the bad parts there, but that's the further step.
Okay.
But you know, we just had like one customer yesterday. He need to check this like some fancy 3D printed particles,
Right.
and he want to check all the shapes. There's like millions of them, and he was very impressed. Like we have this capability, so basically he can just set up the automation script there, and click one button, and have the machine run the rest of the stuff for him.
Well, I mean, so what we're seeing on the screen here, there's like you said, I think you said there's 18
Yeah.
dies or pads or something
Yes,
we're looking
yes.
at there.
Yeah.
So it's already been pre-programmed.
It's
to,
already programmed,
to
yes.
locate those
Yes.
and measure each one of those.
Yes,
So
yes.
once you set the routine up, it'll just step through
Yes.
all 18 of those
Yes,
and take the
yes,
data.
yes.
And I see when I look at the screen here, it looks like it's building up a 3D
Yeah,
image.
it's doing its optical tricks, scanning
Okay.
through, and figure out the height. For example, it's an example showing
Okay.
here. You can just automatic like 18 is not the limitation. You,
Sure,
you
yeah.
can set like maybe 10 million, whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Get this automated.
Okay.
And of course, if your parts are complicated, you want using one mode on one area, use like the other mode in the other area. It's also possible.
Okay.
So there's some kind of the automation script-based programming capability.
Okay.
So you can just specify those kind of functions depending on the area. For example, like on the tile 1, you want to use in the this 3D, conventional 3D morphology capture. On the tile 2, you want to look at this film thickness or like single line profile.
Sure.
That's all very possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're doing, but that's after the data's been collected, right? So that's doing that on the fly, or you're collecting the data
You're doing that on the fly.
on the fly. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
okay.
I mean, on the data analysis part, you can also build some kind of automation there.
Okay.
Like run certain kind of script through the data. For example, for the 3D data, it's important to get this kind of tilting correction.
Okay.
Finished. And also, if you look at the surface roughness, you have to apply certain filter conditions,
Sure.
stuff like that. All of those things can be automated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, let's say, inspection that you would do, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but if you can do an inspection real time, which is essentially what we're doing here, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
look and program it to look for what dimensional data or roughness data.
Yeah,
or,
dimensional data and roughness parameters.
Okay.
Once get into the roughness parameters can be complicated
Okay.
depending on the needs, but it's easier, if you know the parameter, key parameter, pre-program it,
Okay.
and tell the system, the parts didn't meet that parameter and kick out, right?
Okay. Show us the interface a little bit here. I mean, it looks like a very simple interface. It doesn't
Yes.
seem overly complicated. So what would let's say the average person who is going? It's already been programmed and everything. What would the average inspector? How would they use this
So.
in terms of the steps they might make?
We're trying to make this whole interface more user friendly.
Okay.
And you can see this is like the live image, take care of the data acquisition, and you have the control, the key control
Okay.
of the microscope. For example, you're changing the objective magnification, stuff like that, and changing the modes
Okay.
here. And it's very straightforward to read out. And most of the very advanced feature you hide out on this kind of drop-down menu.
So the users, the typical users, prevented with a pretty simple control
Yes,
panel. Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
very simple. But if you need some advanced modes there, you can click on the drop-down menu and bring more advanced feature.
Okay.
Those features are also very intuitive, explained. For example, we are doing this kind of, we call it multiple area acquisition. You will have just that window,
Okay.
give you all the information you need. A user with some kind of a technical background pick up the system very easily.
Okay.
Especially for some younger generation, they
You're
figure
right,
out
you're right.
everything
They got it.
10
Yeah, yeah.
minutes during we're talking about the system, and they took over,
They've already
finding all
got
the
they've already got it figured
yeah,
out.
so it's very
Right.
easy for the user to dive in deep.
And what's our right-hand screen here?
So right-hand screen here, we're showing the analysis window here. Just you can, as it's doing the acquisition, right? And you have some time, and you want to think about how to look at the data, build the best analysis recipe. So this is separate program, improve the whole operation efficiency. So for example, you say, do I have some defects here, or like scratch here? I mean, I look at the different channels. Now I'm looking at the color channel, or like laser intensity channel. Figure out what should I do, right?
Right.
And in this way, overall.
And you can do this at the same time. It's taking actually taking the data.
Yes. Okay. And for example, you can also like prepare the report for example, I'm doing like an example doing the in-plane measurement, like doing the point-to-point measurement. Right now, we look at the step height. Look at this distance, like about 100 microns in distance, and you can create a report.
So doing that all at the same time, and this is all off the same computer, right? So I mean,
yes.
Okay.
But you can also like install this kind of analysis program in the other computer. You don't have to stay on the same machine.
Sure.
So for example, if your data acquisition environment is not comfortable, for example, in the clean room, you have to suit up.
Sure,
and,
right.
Sometimes you have to pay for the time.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend time and money on the analysis part. You can take the data out and do the analysis.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Guangnan, I appreciate it. This was the Lext OLS 5000, right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show for today, but before we go, of course, we'd like to thank once again our sponsor, Olympus America, great host for our show today. Today's episode was brought to you by Olympus and the Lext OLS 5000 3D laser scanning confocal microscope. Whether you're inspecting 300 millimeter semiconductor wafers or 210 millimeter parts, Lext microscopes offer clear images and precise 3D surface roughness measurements with a single click. Fast 4K scanning and dedicated Lext objectives also combine to measure near perpendicular features at the nanometer, I think that's it, nanometer?
Nanometer.
That's right, level. To learn more about the Lext OLS 5000 3D laser scanning confocal microscope, visit www.olympus-ims.com today.
That's right, that's nanometer. Nanometer.
Nanometer.
Nanometer.
That's right.
I want to get a nanometer.
I just had my syllable on the wrong syllable.
You sure?
Emphasis on the wrong syllable.
That's right. Oh, and, also, Olympus offered a drawing in which a QD viewer would be chosen at random to win an Olympus DPC I-Series binoculars. Binoculars.
Binoculars.
It goes with the nanometers.
That's right.
So just before the show, we randomized the entries and selected Dale R. as our winner.
You know who
Dale
you are,
R.
Dale.
We know who you are.
That's right.
Congratulations, Dale. And we'll be in touch soon to arrange for the shipment of your new set of Olympus DPC I-Series binoculars.
and binoculars.
And binoculars.
You get both.
We'll send those to you too.
All right. Well, thanks to all of you for joining us. That's going to wrap up our convention from IMS 2018. We're going to see you back in the studio.
That would be IMTS 2018.
Did I say that?
No, you said IMS.
Oh, that's it. We'll see you back in the studio next week.